Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of AB in the Films. Well, it's Oscar night, and I just reviewed the sad of 2015. Now it's time to review the happy of 2015. That's right, my favorite films of the year. Or, basically, the movies I enjoyed a lot. So everyone, sit back and waste time watching this during all the commercials during the Oscars, and I do have one question for the Academy. I really do. And it's a question that's been puzzling me for years, and I really hope we get the answer tonight. Because, by God, I've been meaning to ask you guys this question. Can you finally give Leonardo DiCaprio one of these tonight? Alright, now before I go into the ones that I saw, I want to give a couple of honorable mentions that I should have seen, and I hear they're doing really well, but I have yet to see them. Ex Machina. Haven't seen it. Heard it was very good, though. Very entertaining. Straight Outta Compton. Haven't seen it. I heard a lot of people who are big fans of NWA, you know, they saw it, they loved it. I'm pretty sure I would probably enjoy it, too. I heard a lot of great things about that film. Haven't gotten around to seeing it. Next one, please. Next one, please. Alright, there we go. Steve Jobs. I'll be honest, the reason I didn't see this movie, despite the fact that it's getting a lot of Oscar attention right now on TV, I have to say, I saw that it was written by Aaron Sorkin, and I didn't bother seeing it, because I thought it was going to be the same thing as The Social Network. I'm like, well, I saw that movie already. It was called The Social Network. Apparently, I'm wrong. I hear Michael Fassbender and Kate Winslet are really, really good in it. Hell, they're being nominated tonight, so who knows? Maybe it is good. I'll definitely have to check that one out in the future. Next one, please. The Visit. I hear M. Night Shyamalan is back after a decade. So, I don't know. I heard it was good. Not in a so bad it's good way, but I heard it's laughably enjoyable. That's what I hear. I don't know. I hear it's good. It's got 69% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I hear that that's not bad. Considering what M. Night Shyamalan's been making over the last decade. Okay, that's that. Next one, please. The Walk. Okay, Robert Zemeckis' new film. I wanted to see this in the IMAX. I never got around to seeing it. I heard it was incredible, great sights, great vision of the guy walking between the World Trade Center. Joseph Gordon-Levitt stars in it. I heard it was really entertaining and interesting. Never got around to seeing it. Next one, please. Creed. That's another one. That played at my movie theater that I work at for nearly 3 weeks. Maybe almost a month. Sylvester Stallone's nominated. The kid who plays Creed, I hear, should be nominated. And he probably should be. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I can't judge his performance. I haven't seen it. But I heard it was really, really good. So, yeah, Creed's another one. And also, here's another one I haven't seen yet. Mad Max Fury Road. What? Is it really that good? Really? Huh? Okay. I'll definitely check that one out then. Okay. So anyway, here we go. The happy of 2015. Paper Towns. Okay, now you just heard me talk about Nat Wolff in the TV DVD episode that I just recently did, where I talked about owning the Naked Brothers band on DVD, and I am a fan of Nat Wolff. And as an actor, he's actually pretty good in this. I mean, I didn't see The Fault in Our Stars. I heard that movie was really good. That's another film I haven't seen, but that was 2014. Haven't seen it. But this is the same author that wrote The Fault in Our Stars, and it's basically about this kid who's graduating high school, and he's going to be moving on, and his friends are going to be moving on too, and this girl that he likes, she leaves him kind of a roadmap to try to find her, and he does. He goes on this road trip with his friends, and they're supposedly girlfriends, and we just follow this kid who's head over heels in love with this girl that he really likes, and she brings out the best in him. And I do like the relationship between Nat Wolff and this girl. I'm trying to think. What was her name? Okay, thank you. So, yeah, I really like the relationship between the two of them in that movie. And it's a good movie. It's a coming-of-age story. I mean, I'm putting it really low on the list because there were a lot of films I enjoyed a lot more than this movie. But for what it is, it was good. I enjoyed it very much. Next one. Krampus. Michael Dougherty is becoming a household name in my house because I saw Trick or Treat and now I've seen Krampus. And I'm a big fan of Michael Dougherty, and he seems to be a guy that makes movies about legends. because Trick or Treat and Krampus are basically the same thing, legends. And I enjoyed this movie. I love the first half, love the second half. It becomes a total, well, let me put it this way. I love the first half, I like the second half. The third half, well, the third half's actually pretty good, but the middle half does have a lot of moments where it just gets so stupid, it becomes funny. It's one of those things. But overall, the movie, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Because I don't really enjoy watching horror movies that revolve around Christmas time. Like Silent Night, Deadly Night, I'm not a big fan of horror Christmas movies. But this one opened my eye to it. I do like this film. I do think Michael Dougherty's a great director. He's a great storyteller. Love the opening credits in this movie. That is so funny because that totally explains what Christmas has become. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun, that movie. Really is. Next one. Jurassic World. Okay, it's really low on the list, but I did enjoy this movie for a couple reasons. One, at the time when this movie came out and I went to go see it, I hadn't seen Guardians of the Galaxy at the time. So I freaking loved Chris Pratt in this movie, and I like him a little bit more in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I love him in this film. He's a badass. He's every badass you could ever think of that's been in every movie you can imagine. And Bryce Dallas Howard is pretty entertaining. They created a brand new dinosaur, which is really creepy. Yeah, the CGI looks like shit in this movie compared to the first one, where it looks surprisingly better and more realistic because they used animatronics in that one. But in this one, it's the better of the sequels. It's better. It's definitely better than the Lost World. Jurassic Park 3, I was indifferent to. I don't love it, I don't hate it, Jurassic Park 3, but Jurassic World, yeah, it's definitely better. And I hear they're making a sequel. Not surprised. It made a lot of money at the box office. So, like this movie a lot. The final epic battle at the end of the movie was so freaking awesome. I saw this in the IMAX. Everybody was screaming, throwing the popcorn in the air, going nuts when the T-Rex came out. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin it for you. You should see the movie. The last 10 minutes of that movie is one of the best scenes in that entire film. It's fantastic. Love that. Really like that movie a lot. Next one. Bridge of Spies. You know, you would think that Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, haven't they done enough crossover movies already? Because I think this is like the 4th time he's worked with Tom Hanks. Yeah, Saving Private Ryan, Catch Me If You Can, The Terminal, and Bridge of Spies. Yeah, I think this is the 4th one. So, this is a movie where Tom Hanks plays a defense attorney, and he's defending I think a Russian spy that's coming to American territory. This is back during the 1950s. Tom Hanks is getting crucified for it in the media for defending a Russian spy. And circumstances prevail where the Russian border has one of our American soldiers, so they have to trade the spies and stuff. But what I really love about this movie is the friendship Tom Hanks has with this spy. I really love that relationship they have together. It almost reminded me a little bit of Liam Neeson's character with of Oscar Schindler, his friendship with Ben Kingsley's character Ishtar Stern in Schindler's List. It reminded me a lot like that, like the way the relationship is played off. Like they both meet, they know nothing about each other. By the end of the movie, they're the best of friends, and they understand where each one of them is coming from. And I really like that relationship. Love this movie. Very underrated. A lot of people did not go see this movie, and it's nominated for Best Picture, and I freaking loved it, and everyone should see Bridge of Spies, because it's a lot of fun, and it's enjoyable, and I love that movie, and I love Steven Spielberg's work, and his work gets better and better. Next one. Joy. Okay. Some of my friends have been saying that this is the role, like Silver Linings Playbook, Jennifer Lawrence shouldn't have been nominated. She shouldn't have got, well, not nominated, but she shouldn't have gotten the award for Silver Linings Playbook. Like, she was okay, but nothing really stood out. American Hustle, same thing. Nothing really stood out. Joy, she stood out. This is her movie. And David O. Russell, like, every time he makes a movie, I love him more and more and more because he knows how to tell a story with great characters. I don't care if he uses the same cast over and over again like Martin Scorsese, but David O. Russell, he knows how to take these actors and use them in a story. I mean, who would think that a movie about where a woman invents a mop could be interesting? Listen, If any of you out there have ever been involved in starting a business or creating something or trying to sell your product, watch this movie. Everything that could go wrong or everything that could go right happens in this movie. And the way it's played off with the material, it's fantastic. I loved every minute of this movie. Loved Jennifer Lawrence in this movie. I even love Bradley Cooper in this movie, and he's not really one of the main stars. He's one of them, but he doesn't come in the movie until like halfway through. But very entertaining, interesting movie. Because it's all about a woman that wants to create something and wants to make money off it. And that's something a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to. Especially in this day and age, you know, with the internet and everything. So, yeah, definitely check that movie out. It's a very good movie. Liked it a lot. Next one. The Martian. This is another movie that's nominated for Best Picture, and I think Matt Damon's nominated for it. I went to go see this movie without even seeing the trailer for it, and didn't even know Ridley Scott directed it, to be honest with you. No idea. And when the movie opened, the way the opening credits started, it looked like it was like the way Alien opened up, and at the end it said directed by Ridley Scott, and I'm like, oh, okay, that explains it. But yeah, Matt Damon, he plays an astronaut that gets left behind, and he has to survive on Mars, and his crew is trying to pick him up, and he's trying to communicate with Earth. The way this is played out for 2.5 hours, in my opinion, it went on a little too long. It's 2.5 hours long. You could have told this movie in an instant 2 hours. Like, the last third, like, a lot of this stuff could have been, because they're trying to make the science so authentic that this could really happen. And well, I don't know if it really could happen. I don't know. I don't study that stuff. It's not my interest. But it is science fiction. But the acting in that movie is really good. Matt Damon, who I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big fan of Matt Damon. I don't love him, I don't hate him, but Matt Damon's really good in this. Ridley Scott's really good at directing this film. Jeff Daniels is really good in this. What's his name again? Yeah, he's really good. I'm sorry. Chiwetel Ejiofor. I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name. I'm really sorry. He's actually a really up-and-coming actor. Like 12 Years a Slave and this film. I mean, like, he's getting a lot of good movie roles. He's a pretty damn good actor. A lot of great people in this movie. Really enjoyed this movie. It's a space science fiction adventure where a guy's trying to communicate with Earth and trying to get back home. And I loved it. I loved it. It's very smart. The way he farms on Mars, you know, because, you know, nothing grows there. It's Mars. It's not Earth. That's executed really well. There's a lot of smart conversations going on in this. A lot of smart people in this. And I love movies that do that. So The Martian, loved it. Glad I went to go see it, too. And I hope it wins some stuff tonight. Next one. Spectre. This was the first time I ever saw a James Bond movie on the big screen. And I know a lot of people didn't like this movie. I know a lot of James Bond fans really didn't care that much for it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. The opening tracking shot, the first shot of the movie, which goes on for what I think is 2.5 minutes, that is beyond impressive, what Sam Mendes did there. That's fantastic. I was excited to see Blofeld come back, and I thought Christoph Waltz was a really good choice. Because when I heard Christoph Waltz was going to be the villain in a James Bond movie, I'm like, okay, yeah, now you're talking. He's perfect for that. He really is. I enjoyed this movie. I don't remember too much from it, and it did go, I will say it did go on a little bit longer. Like, the last third of the movie, it didn't even feel like a James Bond movie anymore. It felt like I was watching, like the ending to, like every action movie I've ever seen, where the girl gets kidnapped and the guy's gotta, you know, break free and stop the bad guy, and well, James Bond practically invented that, but really, I mean, like, after every action movie you've ever seen, it just feels like you're watching every action movie you've ever seen. So, but I did enjoy it. There are a lot of things to enjoy in this. I love the cinematography in this film. I really do like Daniel Craig as James Bond. I am a fan of him as James Bond. I think Pierce Brosnan is a little bit better, because that's the one I grew up with. I did enjoy Spectre. I really did. And I would recommend it to anyone. I did. I enjoyed it. I'm sorry. I liked it. Okay, next one. The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. Okay, when the ending didn't turn out the way I thought the ending was going to turn out because I hadn't read the books, I actually thought this is probably better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I love Katniss. I love PETA. I love all these characters are just so good. This franchise is just so good. And a lot of people were turned off by the ending, and I have to say, I kind of like the way it turned out in the end. I really do. Philip Seymour Hoffman's final film, he's in this movie a lot, and man, this movie was just so good because, you know, it's the big ending, you know, it's the really finale to this whole thing. You know, they're going to get into the Capitol, and will they get President Snow, and what's going to happen after they get President Snow, and a lot of stuff, you know, a lot like twists and turns in the plot and everything, coming from someone who didn't read the books. But I would recommend this movie. I thought it was a good ending to the Hunger Games franchise. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoy it if you guys see it. Yeah, Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. Great one. Next. Inside Out. Okay, I love this movie. Love the animation. Love the story so much. It actually made me relate to certain circumstances that I had growing up. Love the characters. Love the way this setup is so genius. What Pixar does with it. This is Pixar. This is what Pixar is supposed to be, not The Good Dinosaur. Pixar is Inside Out. Great characters, great storytelling, genius setup, and that's all. Pixar's been doing that for years, and to anyone that hasn't seen Inside Out, check this movie out. I loved it. I loved the short film Lava. That was so good. I don't know what else to say about this movie. I've talked about this movie a few times on the show. I love this movie. I hope everybody goes to see this movie, even though it's not in theaters anymore. But still, this is definitely going to win Best Animated Feature on Oscar night tonight. I know that for a fact. Yeah, Inside Out, great film. Film number 15 from Pixar. Loved it. Next one. The Peanuts movie. Back in 2009, I was actually thinking about making a Charlie Brown movie in animation. And then when I heard Blue Sky Studios was going to make one, I'm like, oh, the guys that made Ice Age? Oh, I don't know if that's going to be good. And then they started showing promos and ads for it. And I was surprised. I'm like, okay, it's computer animation, but it does look like the Charles Schulz 2D comic book hand-drawn animation. And also the animation from all the specials that we all grew up with when we were younger. And I went to see this movie, and I gotta tell you, I think this is the first G-rated movie to come out since The Polar Express. I can't remember the last time a G-rated movie came out in the theaters. This was fantastic. I loved this movie. It took me back to being a kid again. You know, the Vince Guaraldi music, and oh my God, and Snoopy being Snoopy, and Charlie Brown, he's just a guy trying to live his life, and things don't always go the way he plans, and it's just a good movie. It's a great movie for anyone that's a fan of Charlie Brown, or the Peanuts in general. I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved it very, very much. And I had a fun time watching it. Next one. World of Tomorrow. Okay, this is nominated, I think, for Best Animated Short Film. And I hadn't heard about it. A friend at work, where I work at my theater, told me about this. They said it's on Netflix. It's Don Hertzfeldt, the guy that made Rejected, which I freaking love. And you know, my friend told me, he said, you gotta see World of Tomorrow. You gotta check it out. It's a 15-minute short film. It's on Netflix. Check it out. It's nominated. You gotta see it. I finally watched it. Genius writing. Loved this whole idea. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's about a little girl who I think telepathically sees the fourth generation of herself like 300 years into the future, or 600 years in the future, I think. And the 4-generation version of her of Emily, I think is her name, shows the young Emily, the original Emily, and she's like 6 years old, what the world will be like, 4 generations into the future. And she says, your generation knows about the internet. Well, now we have this thing called the outernet, I believe is what it is, where the whole world is nothing but what we're doing online. Only we're not using devices for it anymore. It's in our lives now. And the way Don Hertzfeldt told this story, I loved every minute of it. I love the animation. I love this animation that he does with the stick figures and everything, Like, if you've seen Rejected, it's the same thing as Rejected. It looks like the Pop-Tarts commercials that we all see. I think he might have done some of those. I don't know. It kind of looks like his style. But I really did enjoy this movie a lot, World of Tomorrow. Very good short film. Next one. The Revenant. Okay, Leonardo DiCaprio. Hopefully you get this tonight. Because if you didn't get it for Wolf of Wall Street, or The Aviator, or The Departed, or I don't even know if he was nominated for those movies. He wasn't even nominated for Django Unchained when he played Calvin Tandy, which is mind-blowing to me. He's nominated for The Revenant. If he doesn't get it now, I don't think he ever will. Because Leo, he was so good in this. This movie... let me tell you, every time this movie ended and the people left the theater, they all had the same reaction on their faces. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Because the movie is nothing but DiCaprio trying to get to Tom Hardy, trying to, have revenge for him killing his son, and his acting, it's pretty good. It's very good. I mean, for everything DiCaprio has to go through in this movie, I mean, there's more things he goes through than just that famous bear attack. I mean, and the bear attack, I mean, while the bear is CG, it looks pretty damn good. It looks really good. I don't know the director's name, the guy that did Birdman, which was my favorite film of 2014, of last year. The cinematography in this is gorgeous. They did this whole movie using natural light. That is damn well impressive. That is impressive right there to use natural light, because he felt that, we're not going to use green screen for this. We're going to actually shoot this movie in natural lighting. And that's a hard thing to do. But they pulled it off, man. I mean, I loved this movie a lot. Very well done. Guaranteed to win some Oscars tonight. I know that for a fact. Will it win Best Picture? I don't know. But will Leo finally get this? Let's hope so. Next one, please. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Okay, you're probably wondering, why isn't this number 1? It was the movie everyone was looking forward to. It had the most hype. Everybody loved it. A lot of people really did enjoy this movie. Why isn't it number 1? I'm putting it on the number 4 spot because, well, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's not The Empire Strikes Back. Let's get that straight. But it was good. It was good. I liked it. It was much better than those prequels. Well, anything was better than those prequels. I mean, man, they were just... Okay, I've gone on and on about those prequels, so I'm not going to talk about that. We're here to talk about Episode 7. I really did enjoy this movie. I liked it a lot. It was fun seeing Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill back again, and C-3PO and R2-D2 back again, and you got new characters. You have Rey and Finn, which are... those guys are outstanding leads. They're really good. BB-8, I guess, is the new R2-D2. He's a really good character. And of course, Kylo Ren. Yeah, he's no Darth Vader, but he can be, well, maybe not menacing enough. I don't know. Maybe we'll see in Episode 8, when Episode 8 comes out. Yeah, I had a fun time watching this movie. I hear it's nominated for Best Score, I think, for John Williams. Really? Isn't it just the same thing from the original Star Wars, just alterated? I mean, I don't know. I know it's a new score, but it's pretty much the same Star Wars theme, but redone. I mean, but yeah, definitely love that movie, but not as much as the next 3 films. Next one. The Hateful Eight. I'm finding out more and more that a lot of people don't like this movie that much. And here's the thing, guys. It's a dialogue picture. It's Alfred Hitchcock dialogue. Well, actually, no, it's Quentin Tarantino dialogue, but done in a Hitchcockian way. You don't really know who the bad guy is, but as the movie plays out, you're gonna know. Because it's all talk, 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 and not a lot of violence. Well, there is violence in it, but not throughout the movie. Not really. I mean, like if you've seen the review with, because I went to go see this with my friend Devin Kiesler, and we did the review together, and we did the Quentin Tarantino episode where we talked about every one of Quentin's movies. I loved this movie. I loved the fact that it was in 70mm, shot in 65mm, and seen. I was so happy to see a film print of it, which I hadn't seen in years, and. You know, thank you, Quentin Tarantino, for bringing that back. Thank you very much. You know, I got to see a road show, because I would read stories about, you know, movies that were released like that. Like Ben-Hur was released like that, and a couple other films were released as a road show. And I'm glad I got to see it. I love these characters. I really hope that, I think this is nominated for Best Score. I know it's not nominated for Best Picture, and why? It's very, very good. Jennifer Jason Leigh as Daisy Domergue. I hope she gets a win. I think this is the first time she's ever been nominated. I don't know if she's been nominated before, but you know, she was very good in this movie. Very good. And Tim Roth and Michael Madsen and Bruce Dern and Samuel L. Jackson and Kurt Russell. I mean, like, everyone in this movie was fantastic. And I love the way Quentin, because Quentin is all about dialogue. That's what he's all about. He's all about his characters. And this is a character study piece. It is. If you take a look, if you watch it again, and a lot of people say, oh, it goes on and on and on and nothing happens. They're just talking and talking. Well, that's the point. That is the point. You have to realize, see, that's the best thing about Quentin. He's really good at taking stuff that can be in a book and translating it into a movie. Not a lot of people can do that. The other person I can think of that can get that, the closest to Tarantino doing that in a movie, is Stanley Kubrick. But because it's all about the characters, and it's an in-depth look at these characters. And for that, and the fact that it was on film, I mean, like, I loved it. I felt like I was at the movies. And I had a wonderful time, and the theater was packed, and that shows you how many other people care, and everybody walked out of that movie loving it. A lot of people don't really like it that much. I hope it wins for Best Score. I know it's nominated for the score. Yeah, The Hateful Eight, I loved it. Even after the script leak and all that crap that happened during the production, loved that movie. Loved it a lot. One of the best films of 2015. Next one. The Big Short. Okay, when I was thinking about what to put as number one, this one came very, very close. And then I forgot, wait a minute, there was another movie I really liked a little bit more than this one, so I'll put that as number one. So this is the number two spot. Aside from the fact that Adam McKay makes this movie look like an episode of The Office, I like this movie. I love movies that have smart characters that say smart things and do smart things and don't do things for the sake of the plot. Like, a character will do something completely out of left field, not because it's in his character to do so, but the movie makes you think that, but to move the plot along. That does not happen in this movie, and I love that. I love movies that do that. And so, I mean, like, and the performances. I mean, Christian Bale as Dr. Michael Burry. I loved him as him. Steve Carell was great. Ryan Gosling, who I'm not really a bit, like, I don't love him, I don't hate him, but he was actually really funny. He had a lot of funny lines. Whenever he was on screen with Steve Carell, it was funny. And Brad Pitt had a lot of good scenes in that movie as well. And the way they give you a behind-the-scenes look at what was going on and how the banks were setting this system up to fail, and they knew about it, but they just didn't care. I thought it was great. It was a very educational thing, but everyone pretty much knew this, but I didn't. I didn't know how bad it was, and And it was told and filmed in a way that you can understand it. Again, much like The Hateful Eight, so many people walked out of this movie at the theater I work at and didn't like it because they didn't get it. And much like Stanley Kubrick, it's one of those films when you watch it for the first time, you don't get everything the first time. I saw it 6 times. And every time I saw it, I saw something new. And it answered this question, and then this question answered. But then I had a few more questions, but then it got answered the 5th or 6th time I saw it. And I just love this movie. I love the way... I love the subtle humor. I love the lash outs at everybody, especially when Steve Carell loses his mind. It's hilarious. Because he's Steve Carell. He's funny all the time. The Big Short... I know it's nominated for Best Picture. I don't think it's going to get Best Picture, but I really, really enjoyed this movie way more than I thought I was. It's so good. It's a very, very good film. And now we come to the number 1 film. Okay, so here's the thing. Some of you probably know what it is, and some of you guys watching that don't watch my show, when you hear what I'm going to say for the best film of 2015, in my opinion, is, you're probably going to ask yourself, what? That movie has flaws, it's stupid, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't exist in the real world, it's ridiculous. Well, let me tell you what it is first. The number 1 film, the best film of 2015, is Furious 7. The reason why I'm calling this the best film of 2015. Okay, the script is not smart. The action is stupid. The stunts are stupid. Does this make sense in the real world? No. Some of my friends don't even call this an action series. They call it a science fiction series. But you know what? Say what you want, okay? I loved this movie. And I loved it because of, well, a couple things. Before this movie came out, I was not a fan of the Fast and Furious movies. In fact, I had never even seen them. It was just, to me, my perception of it before I actually watched them, it was a bunch of cars, a bunch of chicks, like, basically, not to bring Michael Bay down, but everything Michael Bay likes to put in his movies. It's basically that. And I didn't care for it. And then Paul Walker passed away. And a lot of people were talking about him, and they were saying, oh, what a great guy he was, and everything. He was such a nice guy. He was like the best friend you could have ever had. And then they started talking about Furious 7 and how he started filming it, but he never finished it. And for me, you know, like, this might sound a little creepy, but I am a fan of posthumous releases, because it's interesting. When someone dies and their last work is revealed to the public, you kind of wonder what that's going to be like. Like, for example, when John Lennon got killed, the album Milk and Honey, like, everyone says Double Fantasy is his last album. It was the last album that came out when he was alive, but Milk and Honey, released in 1984 with Yoko Ono, like, that album had the song Nobody Told Me. And I love that song. I never knew it was released after his death. And Michael Jackson, the same way. I mean, people are finding out all this stuff that artists did. But the reason why I find it so interesting is that even though they're dead, it's like they're still alive. And it's kind of a cool, semi-weird, but cool thing. So when I heard they were going to release Furious 7, but it was going to be delayed because they had to rewrite the script because they just started filming it when he passed away, what they did with the movie was fantastic. And so, before Furious 7 came out, I started watching all the Fast and Furious movies. And I got into them. I was getting into this. I mean, the first 3, not really. And the 4th one is, no. But Fast 5, I was into it. Furious 6, I liked it. And I was so anxious to see Furious 7. You know how everyone was so hyped to see Star Wars The Force Awakens? They couldn't sleep at night. They were so excited every time they saw a new ad or a new trailer. Okay, Furious 7 was my Star Wars 7. It was, okay? Because Because when I saw the first trailer drop in November 2014, like a couple months before the movie came out, I looked at that trailer and I'm like, maybe they can pull this off. I don't know. Because he's in it. He's there. It's not CGI Paul Walker. I mean, he's really there. I know he's there. And so maybe they can pull this off. I don't know. And what they did with this movie, aside from the plot, it was a very wholesome love letter to their friend, their confidant, and it just... And I thought that was so great. It was so positive, and I loved it. I love that tribute at the end that they do for Paul Walker at the end of the movie, and I love these characters. Okay, now the thing is this: these guys are not good actors. I'm not going to say Vin Diesel is a good actor. He's not. He's passable because he's a lot of fun to watch. It's like watching The Rock. Like, Dwayne Johnson is not an actor, but he's enjoyable to watch. I'm not saying he's a bad actor, but he's not necessarily good. And Paul Walker's the same way. I mean, I've seen some other of Paul Walker's movies. He's not that great an actor, but these are nice people trying to make something entertaining and to get your money's worth and having a good time at the movies, which is what you're supposed to have, a good time at the movies when you watch a movie. And I love these characters. These characters don't have much to them, but when they all get together, it's a very nice thing to see that. And I just love these characters. Much like the Hangover movies, I love these characters. And so, they, and here's the thing. I've seen this movie so many times. I've seen Furious 7. I think I can tell when CG Paul Walker is there and when the actual Paul Walker is there. Let me tell you this. The whole scene that was in the trailer where the bus is going over the cliff and Paul's running up the bus and he's like, "Wah!" and then grabs on to Michelle Rodriguez's car. Okay, that whole scene, he's there. He's there. That's not CG Paul Walker. He's there. I know he's there. I've seen a lot of B-roll and behind-the-scenes footage to realize he's there, okay? There are some scenes where they used Photoshop and they actually used shots from B-roll of other Fast and Furious movies, and I could tell. And the scene with the Lycan Hypersport, when Dom and Brian are trying to get the gold, I think the God's Eye is this device they're going after. They're trying to get out of the Lycan Hypersport, and they're going through skyscrapers. I don't care if it's stupid. I don't give a shit. It's awesome, and I love it for that. And when they go through the first skyscraper, he's trying to hit the brakes. He's like, "No brakes! No brakes! Brian, you gotta get it!" He's like, "Shit!" And he's like, they're trying to get the God's Eye, and then Vin's like, "Okay, we're reaching the end of this skyscraper. I'm shifting gears. Let's get through it and let's go into the next skyscraper." Like, oh, it was so much fun. And Kurt Russell's in this, and he's actually very entertaining. And Jason Statham's fantastic. I mean, like, when I heard he was gonna be opposite Vin Diesel as the antagonist, like, right there, you know that's gonna be entertaining. I just wish The Rock was used a little bit more in this movie. Because he has to take a backseat to everything else that's going on. But when he's on screen, he's pretty entertaining. And for all these things that were happening in Furious 7, yeah, it has flaws. And it's not nominated for any Oscars. I knew that. I remember when Vin Diesel said it should be nominated for an Oscar. I'm like, no, it's not. But I was completely moved by this movie. It made me love the Fast and Furious movies even more. And honestly, like, I hear they're going to do Fast and Furious 8, like, next April. This could be the end. Like it was that great of an ending. Not just because we lost Paul Walker during the making of it, but the way they end it. This could have been a finale for the series. It was that good. And so, yeah, and I love Tyrese Gibson as Roman Pierce. I mean, he's the comic relief. He's hilarious. The scene when the cars are going out of the plane with parachutes. I don't care if it's stupid. It's freaking awesome. It's great. And I really loved this movie so much because these guys took a very sad situation, a very surprisingly shocking situation that they didn't even think would happen, and turned it into something positive, and the fans turned it into something positive, And everybody walked out of that movie having a good time. I'm pretty sure of it, because I was entertained by it. And this is coming from someone who would never even look at these movies. And I know what you're thinking. Well, what if Paul Walker didn't die and Furious 7 came out? Would you still call this the best film of the year? Probably not. I probably wouldn't have even taken a look at it. But I encourage everyone to go see Fast and Furious 7. I loved it. Well, I'm pretty sure everyone did see it. It was very sweet, and I loved everything about this movie. What they did, how they took advantage of this, how they managed this situation. That's why it's the best film of 2015. It's one of the highlights of, it is the highlight of 2015 for me. It really is. And it was my favorite film of the year. It really was, for those reasons. That's about it. I hope you guys enjoy the Oscars tonight. And I'm going to get out of this suit. But before we close out, I did this little tradition last year. We're going to take a look at some of the people, some of these people we know that we've lost in 2015. And yeah, we're going to have a little moment of silence for this. Good night, everyone.